The roar of the engine cut through the Pacific air like a blade, tires screeching against the cliffside asphalt as Luna gripped the wheel tighter, her eyes locked on the car ahead. She wasn't thinking anymore, just reacting, just pushing, just chasing a ghost that had haunted her too long. Steffy Forrester had taken everything from her, or so Luna believed, and now there was no turning back. Her car gained ground fast, the curves of Mulholland Drive vanishing behind them. Below, the ocean yawned like a grave. Steffi's SUV swerved, tires flirting with the edge of the cliff. Rocks tumbled into the sea. The two vehicles danced a lethal ballet, inches from the edge of oblivion. Luna's heart pounded, her face pale but resolute. She had told herself this wasn't revenge, that it was justice. But as her bumper tapped Steffi's rear fender again, harder this time, she crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Then it happened. A third car, no warning, no headlights, came out of nowhere like a missile. It wasn't part of the chase. It wasn't supposed to be there. But it was. And it changed everything. Sheila Carter slammed her car between Luna's and Steffi's in a sudden act that defied logic, self-preservation, or any reason anyone would expect from a woman like her. Her car took the hit, metal crumpling in a flash of sparks and fury. Steffi's SUV swerved violently but managed to spin into a skid, slamming sideways against the guardrail just shy of the cliff's edge. Luna's car, stunned by the impact, veered and slammed into a road sign, deploying the airbags. Everything went silent. Smoke rose. Debris scattered. Time stopped. And then, as emergency sirens wailed in the distance, the impossible became real. Sheila Carter, infamous, despised, feared, had just sacrificed herself to save Steffy Forrester. Not out of strategy. Not out of manipulation. But instinct, gut, something primal that no one, not even she, could explain. Steffy crawled out of the wreckage, shaken, bleeding, gasping for breath. She looked toward the crushed metal heap where Sheila's car now lay upside down in the ditch. Her vision blurred, but she saw Sheila's hand twitch, reaching out through shattered glass. Finn arrived minutes later, having received the emergency alert from Steffi's phone tracker. He sprinted through the chaos, ignoring the paramedics, his medical instincts overriding everything else, until he saw the scene. His wife, alive but battered. Luna, bloodied and stunned, being pulled from her wreck. And Sheila, his mother, the woman he hated, the woman who had terrorized his family, who had done unspeakable things, being pulled from the wreckage, her pulse faint but present. The one person he had sworn never to forgive had just saved Steffi's life. Everything he thought he knew shattered in that moment. Steffy was taken into surgery that night for a fractured wrist and minor head trauma. Nothing life-threatening. Luna was taken into custody, booked for attempted vehicular homicide. But Finn? He sat alone in the waiting room, the walls closing in around him. The weight of Sheila's actions pressed down on him like concrete. He saw it over and over again. The moment of impact, the flash of metal, the way Sheila didn't hesitate. She didn't have to do it. She could have let Steffy die. She didn't. For days, Finn avoided everyone. He didn't return Steffi's calls. He didn't speak to Hope or Ridge or even Lee. He visited Sheila's hospital room, where she lay unconscious but stable. And he stared. For hours. Not in fear. Not in rage. But confusion. Could someone like Sheila, someone with so much blood on her hands, still be capable of selflessness? Was it redemption? A fluke? Or worse, was it manipulation? Because now Finn was drowning in guilt. He had wished her dead. He had hated her. And now, that same woman had saved the love of his life. When Sheila finally opened her eyes, her first word was, "Finn," His name, rasped out with cracked lips and tears in her eyes. Finn stood frozen. "I didn't do it for forgiveness," she said. "I did it because I love you. And I love her. Even if you hate me, I couldn't let her die." It was a knife through his heart. Every fiber of his being told him to walk away, to reject this woman who had tormented his wife, haunted his family. But now there was this debt. This unpayable, unshakable debt. The next day, he sat with Steffy. "She saved you," he said. Steffy looked away. "Don't. She didn't have to. She didn't plan it. She's always planning something," Steffy snapped. "She's a snake. A murderer. Don't let this change you." "But it has changed me," Finn said, quietly. "I saw her die for you." That wasn't an act. Steffy's jaw clenched. "So what now? You're going to invite her into our home? Call her mom? You think one heroic moment makes up for everything?" "No," he said. "I don't. But I also can't ignore what she did. She's in that hospital bed because she took a hit that was meant for you. Don't let guilt rewrite history," she warned. But the wedge was already there. Over the next weeks, Finn visited Sheila daily. He didn't tell Steffy everything. He couldn't. Sheila never asked him to forgive. She just told him stories. About his childhood. About the day he was born. About the moments she watched from a distance, too dangerous to come close, but unable to turn away. Finn never trusted her, but he listened. And he started to see the cracks in her armor. The regret. The damage she never healed from. Steffy felt him slipping. Not romantically, but emotionally. She watched him become consumed by the need to understand Sheila, as if that understanding could give him peace. But it only drove them further apart. She confronted him one night. "It's her or me," Steffy said. "I will not raise our kids in a house where Sheila Carter is anything but a memory." And Finn, torn in two, didn't answer right away. "You owe me this, Finn. After everything, don't let her rewrite the past." But Finn had already begun rewriting it in his mind, in his soul. Not to erase Sheila's crimes, but to grasp how someone so dark could also be capable of light. When the hospital released Sheila weeks later, she vanished again. No farewell. No grand gesture. Just gone. But the damage remained. Steffy filed for separation 3 months later. Not out of hatred. Out of necessity. She couldn't watch Finn spiral into obsession. She loved him, but she wouldn't share him with his demons. And Finn? He let her go. Because in trying to save his mother, he had lost his wife. And for the first time in his life, he understood what Sheila had meant when she said, "Love doesn't make you safe. It makes you choose." The silence in the beach house was unbearable. Finn stood at the window, looking out over the Pacific, the sky smeared in gray. The waves kept rolling, relentless, but everything else felt still, frozen in time. Steffy had moved out a week ago, taking Kelly and Hayes with her. There had been no fight, no explosion. Just the sound of drawers closing, luggage wheels dragging across hardwood, and her saying, "I can't do this anymore, Finn. I love you, but I can't compete with a ghost." He hadn't chased her. He couldn't. Not when his mind was still drowning in the image of Sheila stepping between Steffy and death like it was instinct. The woman he hated, the one he once wanted locked away forever, had thrown herself into the jaws of destruction to protect the very person who feared her most. It wasn't redemption, but it was something. And that something now lived in Finn's bloodstream like a toxin. Or a truth. He told himself it wasn't about loyalty. It wasn't about love. It was about understanding. About why. Why would Sheila Carter, a woman who had tormented the Forresters, destroyed lives, murdered people, sacrifice herself for Steffy? Why now? He needed answers. And she was gone. Weeks passed with no sign of her. No visits. No messages. Not even a shadow in the dark. Sheila Carter had disappeared completely. But her absence did more damage than her presence ever could. It hollowed out Finn's life. At work, he was distracted. At home, he was alone. And when he did visit Steffy to see the kids, her eyes stayed guarded, her voice cool. She didn't ask questions anymore. She didn't want to know who he was becoming. Then, one night, he got the call. Blocked number. Distorted voice. But it was her. "Don't look for me, Finn. I did what I had to do. That's all." He gripped the phone so tight it nearly snapped. "Sheila, wait. Why? Why did you do it?" Silence. Then, "Because I saw you. For the first time, I saw what I could lose. And it wasn't just you. It was who you became with her. I wanted to protect that, even if I don't belong in your life." The line went dead, but it was enough. Meanwhile, Luna's trial began in downtown Los Angeles. The DA charged her with attempted vehicular homicide, reckless endangerment, and aggravated assault. The footage was damning. Her obsession with Steffy, her erratic behavior, her growing paranoia, it all came out in court. She showed no emotion as the charges were read. No apology. No denial. Just silence. But then a twist. Her defense lawyer, funded by anonymous donors, presented a startling claim. Luna's car had been tampered with. Her brakes had failed. Her steering had been compromised. She hadn't meant to push Steffy off the cliff. It had been a setup. By whom? The judge asked. "We believe a third party with motive to destroy both Luna and Steffy orchestrated the entire event," the lawyer said. "And we intend to subpoena individuals within the Forrester and Spencer circles who may have known about the sabotage." The courtroom gasped. Names were dropped: Thomas Forrester, Hope Logan, Evans End. People with buried grudges, twisted affections, and long shadows. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. The media now called it the cliffside conspiracy. Steffy, furious, denied everything. She met with Ridge, Taylor, and even Eric, demanding that the family do something to protect their name. But inside, fear crept in. What if it wasn't Luna? What if someone had used her as a weapon? And if so, who? At the same time, Finn received another anonymous envelope. Inside, a USB drive. No note. No explanation. He plugged it in. Surveillance footage. A hidden camera inside Sheila's motel room from weeks before the crash. Footage of her meeting with a man, tall, well-dressed, face in shadow. They argued. She threw something. He shoved her. Then, finally, she whispered something into his ear, and he left. Frame by frame, Finn zoomed in. The man was Jack Finnegan. His father. Finn's blood turned cold. He hadn't spoken to Jack in months. Their relationship fractured after the truth came out about Sheila being his birth mother. Jack had retreated from the family, from Lee, from everything. But now, why was he meeting with Sheila? And what were they fighting about? Finn confronted him. "I don't know what you saw," Jack said, cornered. "But I was trying to protect you." From what? From her? Or from the truth? Sheila wanted to go public, Jack confessed. About what really happened the night of your birth. She threatened to expose everything. What everything? Jack's silence was an answer. Finn staggered back. There was more. Always more. Steffy found herself spiraling. Her marriage in ruins. The Forresters under scrutiny. Luna's trial reopening every old wound. And now Finn was unraveling truths she didn't want uncovered. She visited Sheila's old motel room. Alone. Against her better judgment. Inside, she found something chilling, a hidden compartment in the floorboards. A stash of letters. Some torn. Some sealed. all addressed to Finn. Letters never sent. Pages of regret, rage, and raw vulnerability. And one addressed to her. Steffy, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, or you're desperate. Probably both. I don't expect forgiveness. But I need you to understand, I didn't jump in front of that car to make a point. I did it because I knew no one else would. Not Jack. Not Lee. Not even Finn. And I couldn't let your kids grow up motherless because of me. Not again. I've done enough damage. I'm trying to stop the cycle. Whether you believe that or not is up to you. Sheila. Steffy burned the letter. But it was already too late. Because in some dark, awful way, she did believe it. The trial reached its climax. Luna, facing 20 years in prison, finally spoke. I didn't mean to kill her. I didn't want anyone to die. But Steffy took something from me. And no one cared. Not the Forresters. Not the Spencers. Not even my own family. I was invisible. And when you're invisible long enough, you start to think the only way to be seen is to break something. The courtroom was still. Then the jury returned. Guilty. On all counts. As Luna was escorted out, she turned back once. To Steffy. To Finn. To the family she had tried to burn down. I'll be back, she whispered. And no one doubted her. In the months that followed, the Forrester and Spencer families slowly tried to recover. But something had changed. Finn never returned to Steffy. Not fully. He still loved her. But the fracture left by Sheila's sacrifice never truly healed. Not because he forgave her, but because a part of him understood her. And that understanding cost him everything. Steffy, alone, rose stronger. Harder. More guarded than ever. She focused on the company. On her kids. On rebuilding what was broken. But at night, sometimes, she dreamt of a car, a scream, and a shadow diving into the path of death. And she wondered if the devil they feared all these years had finally died a human. Or worse, had survived as something even more dangerous, a mother redeemed.